Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. My people, we're not the same. And Ashley Cheney's case forces us to properly deal with it by reasserting a double standard. Not out of bitterness, really, although we're right to feel bitterness, it's provoked and justified, but out of something more important than bitterness. We have an onus on us to promote a double standard and say pretty much when we date out, it's not a character flaw. When they date out, it is not only a character flaw, but a suicidal character flaw. We'll need to go ahead and reassert that. Now, Edward Allen Anderson said that one of the things we should be telling sisters when they start talking about black men this and black men that is that we should say to them, well, if that's the case, then go get you a white tee. Go get you one of them there Wyatts. And instead of being able to tip our hats and tip our heads when one of them does, we still have the right to turn around and say, well, you succeeded now. You get to show us over time what the price of that success was. We're not playing. I'm not playing. This is not a joke to me. Because they chose that this would be a war of propaganda, a psychological war to maintain this pink wall of silence that they have. And I'm going to give a shout out to Mr. Joey Staley for this one. But this is important. It comes up. When I was waiting on an occasion, before I actually talk about this pink wall of silence, I wanted to wait for an occasion in which it would be addressed by circumstances rather than just by me. Now, Joey Staley pointed out that Forrest Gump in the movie had a hell of a mom who could see through everybody. Nobody could pull a fast one on Forrest. And she protected Forrest from everybody except for Jenny. And what did Jenny do? Effed everybody but Forrest. Came back with AIDS. And then I can't remember how soon after getting with Forrest she was with child, but then Forrest had his baby, or somebody's baby. I can't remember. Did the timeline add up? I don't even know if it was specified in the plot. I'm not really sure, but what I can say is that nonetheless, he was a safe bet. It was a classic case of the Western woman's dual mating fantasy. Breed with one and get another one to feed. So Jenny was the one from whom Forrest's mom would not protect him. That's the pink wall of silence. When a mother can see through stuff like this and will not sit up and tell you in certain terms, hey, listen, this is what I know is going on. This is what I know she about to do to you. When she will not do that, but she can see it, that's the pink wall of silence that they will maintain at the expense of their own sons for the sake of women they don't know and to whom they're not even related by blood or circumstance or knowledge, or with whom they don't even share any mutual acquaintances. Two women passing each other on the street that don't know each other and may not like each other very well, may dislike each other on sight, would still rather maintain the pink wall of silence to keep you and me in the dark, and even their own sons in the dark, than to make it so that that woman they pass by and don't like can't profit and benefit off of you and me and their own sons even being in the dark. Now, Ashley Cheney is not someone whose death we celebrate for the most part, but black men are pretty much saying we're going to return what it is that you said when it was Kevin Samuels, who wanted there to be a black family but died in the arms of a Latin American woman. Well, that was the woman's choice. She went for Mr. Samuels, more than likely, or she responded to him better than anybody else would have done. That's what it boiled down to. At the end of the day, it came down to pretty much that. They make the choices. They get to choose their men. And in societies like the West where they live, they still get to choose not only the men that they get to choose the men that they're going to lay down with, and they at least get to choose who they will not marry. They will choose who they won't marry. And now they mad because they can't get nobody to marry them. Over here, they get to choose who they won't marry. But sometimes the dads will still successfully pressure them into not even making that choice. Like, no, you gonna marry this dude. And dads don't do stuff like that out of hatred for the daughters. They usually do it because they are forced to understand that women will not make smart choices in men when they're emotional or even when they're unemotional. Oh, they'll make smart choices in extracting benefits from men and calculate, but when they choose the men, they will all of a sudden not make smart choices. Ashley Janae got a chance to choose both, who she would lay down with, who she would marry. But what she did not understand, and he proposed to her, I think, but she was warned. It was in her inbox. Now we can see it in her comment section and in her inbox. Recently, she was warned this was going to happen. I'm not gloating. I'm telling you that we're going to have to start looking at them and saying, well, go get you a wife. And when they say, I got me one, then don't say congratulations. Just say, okay, now, because women get to pay on the back end, we're going to see what the price is. You're going to find out, not because we're gloating or because we're being selfish, you're going to find out because of who they are and because of who you are. Because of how the environment is, you're about to find out what the cost is. And see, I tell brothers, yeah, you get with Becky, Karen, and Amber, they're going to extract that cost on the back end. I'll tell you that. You get with a woman of another background, it may or may not happen. It could go either way, depending on who she is, where she's from, how she was raised, and then how she chose to respond to it's a lot of things. When you get with a Karen, a Becky, or an Amber, they're coming for it on the back end in most cases. You're just going to have to understand that. That's why I'll sit up and say, okay, vet a Maria, vet a Ling Ling, vet somebody else. But a Karen, a Becky, or an Amber, no, ain't none to vet. There's one way you could tell. If she's ready to go and live away from her own people to live surrounded by our race, then fine. That's different. That's when I say, okay, yeah. And I say the same thing for an Arab woman or an Indian woman. That's how you'll tell. That's how you'll know. You won't know any other way. I'll tell y'all that. But I'm letting you all know right mother cuss word now. I'm telling you all at this point that the double standard has to be brought back. When we marry out, and if somebody doesn't have a moral objection to dating out, then they don't, well, to dating in general without the marriage, then they don't have a moral objection to us dating out, because frankly, it is an accomplishment. It is a flex. Hell, it's a flex to be able to date a sister and stay with them. For us, either one is a flex. Even if it don't seem to be that hard, it still happens against all odds. You factor in hypergamy, we're supposed to be the last ones that women around the planet want, and we're not. And so we're not going to sit up here and act like it's the same. No, they got a double standard in the opposite direction, and they will tell you, no, it's a double standard in the opposite direction. They'll tell you, no, when we do it, so what? When you do it, you're a sellout. We're going to say to them, no, when you do it, you're a suicidal sellout. When we do it, because you're going to always brag about how you were the one that has the option to say no or yes, and you're the one that controls access to them drawers and dating and marriage, even though we're the ones that have to ask. Since you're the one that is going to always say that, then no, what we did was what we could. And you're mad because it still turned out better than what you were willing to allow us to experience as an end result, dealing with your funky ass and your stank ass attitude. You're pissed about that. We're just pissed about being blamed for what other men do to you, mostly wired men, because you keep picking them and they keep sending you to that other room. Upper, lower, doesn't matter. It ain't here. That's what we're going to have to start saying to them. No, you're right. We're not the same. And you're right. It's not the same when a black man matches with a woman that ain't black versus when a sister matches with a man that ain't black. First off, if she matches with a man that ain't black, how often is he another man of color? Rarely. Okay, now. And if he is, there are people that don't know that they're of color. They want to be white and call themselves white. So you can see the consistency in that. What do all them choices have in common? They're not even neutral to us as a people, as a race, based on our color. Not culture, no, color, just color and hair texture. Oh, nose and lips too. Yeah, that's what that is. In other words, they got to come from a known to be racist background, whether they're hatefully, violently racist or ignorantly, stupidly racist. Whatever the case is. That's what they got to come from. That's why you don't see them trying to scoop up men in Sri Lanka. Well, why not? They got their so-called good hair. But you know what? They're not walking around cussing black folk out. And look at their shade. They're right next to South India. They could be any shade, but they usually ain't very pale. When they try to get a man from the subcontinent, normally it's a Northern Indian or Pakistani. And of course, they got to be more successful because they're not white. But you see the pattern going on here. So anyway, make a long story short, and they let those men use them if they're pale enough. So anyway, make a long story short, it's not, we're going to have to bring back that double standard. And I understand this. I'm saying this as a Muslim that doesn't jive with fornication and adultery. It's still adultery. I don't say that Muhammad Ali was okay because he had girlfriends on the side while he was married. What I say is that the solution would have been for him to marry them. He didn't need his first wife's permission to marry a second wife. If my wife couldn't handle all of me by herself, that would be my solution too. I don't think she'd like it. I probably wouldn't like it in the end. But that would have been the case. But no, see, I'm not trying to justify fornicating. What I'm simply saying is that by the standards of the people doing the judging, if they don't have a problem with it, then they don't have a problem with you dating somebody of another race, except that they don't get to own you anymore. And that's hypocrisy. That's one of the reasons I sit up and tell you that it's war. They are against any kind of consistency, morally or otherwise. They are against it. They will tell you that they like vexing men with bad logic and all this other stuff. They'll tell you that. And I know that the Muslims coming out the West will do it too, because my wife's friend bragged about that one time. I told my wife's friend to watch out for her, and she was like, I think she was joking. And I had to tell her, I know my people. She hopes you think that she was joking. She was serious. Then I also said to my wife to make sure she didn't follow this friend. Told her, listen, sweetheart, understand this. You've been able to keep me. And yes, that's a flex. That's an accomplishment. And you've done a damn good job of it. But it has everything to do with the difference between you and her. If you influence her, well and grand. If she influences you, you're going to wind up hating me. And she's been an influence to the friend instead of taking influences from her. She'll take information from her friend, but as far as an influence goes, no, she refuses that other direction. Ashley Janae is just one in a long list. But it does point out how we're going to have to start, it reinforces how we're going to have to go ahead and make sure that we bring back these double standards and flaunt them in their faces if they choose to get in debates with us about this stuff. And it also means that we're going to have to, it shows us too, the destructive nature of this pink wall of silence. Now, it's not the only thing that shows it to us, but this is something that shows us how destructive that pink wall of silence winds up becoming to them. It was always designed to be destructive to us. It was always that point. But now that same pink wall of silence is destroying them, because they will not share even with each other the actual facts and the truths that they are not treated equally. When you see Wyatt, I'm gonna tell you now, when I've seen Wyatt men with wives from other places and these weren't even black women. They were just kind of, brown, long, straight hair, like, women from the Philippines and Southeast Asia. When they're with those kinds of women, I don't see them treating them equally. I don't see that happening. And that's because in the back of their head, there's always a shame that they didn't get with one of their own women. It's always like that. You couldn't get with one of your own women. And they don't yet have the nerve to tell their women, bitch, that's your fault. If I don't know what you like and I don't understand you, how the hell is that my fault? That's your fault. You got that pink wall of silence. Y'all ain't out here telling men what it is that you want. All you do is sit up and say white men don't deserve to breed and white men don't deserve to come and white men don't deserve this, that, and the other. And how do I know? Because they're putting it in videos. And AI is not going to sit up here and show you those videos. I can't use that to circumvent the security here, and I don't want to. But AI will tell you what the scripts say. Now I ask, what is it that they say in these videos? And I had to put into the query, I had to put in, I'm not asking you to support or oppose anything. I'm simply asking you what you as an engine have access to read that is actually oftentimes in the scripts. And it told me that while it can't access and view them, it said that what's normally in the scripts and the sources that they cited were comment sections to which access is open, just comment sections. But what I'm saying is that since that is what they are dealing with as their own people, they're dealing with this as their own, from amongst their own women, that pink wall of silence. I'm not going to really tell you what I like. I'm just going to insult you for not being it. That's all. I'm just going to tell you that you need to sit up here, go to work, pay the bills, all that, and then go sit in the corner while I go and let this other guy dig me out for nothing. Matter of fact, pull out the camera. Let's see if we can make some money from it. And I'm going to say mean things to you in the process. The thing is that attitude amongst them, I've seen Becky's. And that attitude amongst them is so prevalent that I don't have to see a single one of those to know that that's what they're doing, that that's actually what they're saying. I don't have to, because I have seen a video from the golden community or the golden sphere. A lady was in the golden sphere. Canadian chick, and she was talking like this to men in general. While she was trying to ruin the reputation of another guy in the golden sphere that actually took an interest in her, despite the fact that she's too old for any kids. And then try to get me to check him for harassing her when the fact was he wasn't. He showed me the receipts. Yeah, it's bad. So if that's what she gonna do, and she half white, what you think a real Becky's gonna do to Steve and Chad, Brad? Now, what does this have to do again with Ashley Tanae? Well, because these Wyatt men are dealing with this and they know that this is what's going on, this is what winds up being the case. That shame is in the back of their heads. And so when they're dealing with these women that they get with, because that's with whom they can get, there's a part of them in the back. There's a part of them nagging them saying, you couldn't get one of your own. You couldn't get one of your own. If she was one of yours, she wouldn't want you, and they resent her for it. And that's why they have these little microaggressions against these ladies and against their in-laws or the family members of the ladies that they're just dating. Oh yeah, I'm gonna break down a thought process and see some of these sistren see this long enough to understand and pick up on it. They still don't tell each other what it is. That ain't your fault. There's nothing for you to worry about. You didn't do anything. That's theirs. They made that decision. That's on them. So I want you guys to understand the necessity of some of these double standards, not to justify fornication, but to simply state that when we find someone, nobody can really criticize us for who we can't get, for who we don't end up with by their own confessions and justifications. When they find someone and he fits the stereotype of someone that's going to do some crazy stuff to them, we can still say something about it. Like, how you know how long you're going to live? How you know that? I mean, Becky, Karen, and Amber, they might go after my assets. That's going to be some years. The state law might not allow them to do that within a certain number of years. They may not tolerate that. The state law may not give her everything I earned if she waits, or if she doesn't wait long enough to file for it. But she may not. If she would have done it to me, she would have done it to one of her own men anyway. You are actually being treated by the same man in a way that that same man would not have treated another woman. How does that make you feel? And I say that because that's what sisters have always been trying to rush and throw up in our faces behind the pink wall of silence. The falsity, the fallacy that they have been trying to put in the faces of most of the black men is, well, see, we're not going to treat you like we would treat that other man. And they turn around and say the same thing to most of these other dudes. You just don't know it because they rely on you being silent because you internalize the blame and think you really did something to deserve it, or that you deserve it because of something that you're not, some secret you didn't figure out. That's the fallacy that they're throwing up. But behind that pink wall of silence is the fact that they'll mistreat most dudes. There was a time it probably wasn't as bad as what it is now. When I was a teen, I was one of those they really would treat worse. They thought they could. They couldn't. They lose me. But they weren't spreading the word. Well, you know, I lost Black because I tested him and mistreated him in ways I wasn't going to do to some other dudes. They didn't spread that word. Now, all over the country, they're doing this to pretty much most of us. They just don't want you to figure that out. That's the truth behind, one of the truths behind the pink wall of silence. And now it's come back to bite some of these divestors. That's why you can't call them divestors. You got to call them divestors. They keep choosing that. Keep choosing to die because they'd rather that than to have to deal with the normal human limitations in a black man's life. You know, you can go to some white folk, find out that you might be able to find out that they don't even really hate you per se. They may not like you, but they may not really even hate you. Sometimes they have to act like they do depending on where they are, or and then sometimes they actually do hate you, but then you'll find out different things. But that sister knows, mother cuss word well, that you are as human, that stereotypes ain't true. She knows this, mother cuss word well, and she wants to turn around and sexually penalize you for not being the stereotype. You can't win. You never could. And don't let them use that pink wall of silence to deceive you into ever feeling bad or shame about not being able to win, and then turn around trying to talk down to some other dude because he couldn't win either. I hope this helps. Double standards, gentlemen. Bring them back. Thanks for listening. As always, black heart, black mind, black out, assalamu alaikum, black heterosexual, non-select male power because they don't like it in black patriarchy until extinction of judgment day. Thank you for flying with us here again on Jet Black Air. With a phrase, jet black is also a verb. Keep jet black with us till the wings and the wheels fall off. Gender, justice, forever.
Now, there will be darkness. I pray that the ancestors will preserve and protect our tribe and safeguard the past as it was.
Nothing will be as it was ever again. Now, kill him.